Hello, friends, and welcome back to Malicious Compliance Stories. First story has taught me so much about cognitive dissonance. Bad behavior called out when you mistreat someone who's not even an employee. Just keep plowing along in rage because you're the customer and what you say goes. So don't forget to subscribe to our channel if you're new here and turn on notifications so you don't miss a new video every single day. Here we go. How dare you speak to me in that accent? Get me your manager. I had a really interesting encounter earlier this week and thought you'd all enjoy it. But this one requires an understanding of the Australian accent. Fellow Australians, skip the first paragraph. For everyone else, just consider this an opportunity to learn something that may come in handy later in your quest. There are three main variations: cultivated, general, and broad. Cultivated is the posh one that the newsreaders and little old ladies have. Think Australian, but with received pronunciation English vowels. General is, you guessed it, the general accent. Broad is the regional accent. Think Crocodile Dundee or Steve Irwin. It's nicknamed Strine because when you say Australian in a broad accent, it sounds like Strine. No, seriously. But the more common name for this is Ocker. I've got an English father, so instead of the general accent that everyone else I know has, mine is a little more RP. But when I get angry or frustrated, my accent changes. If I'm going the calm fury route, then I over-enunciate my words and I sound almost entirely English. But if I'm pissed off and I don't care who knows it, then I'm Ocker. So I'm in a big department store. Their uniform is black slacks, sensible black shoes, blue shirts, and I'm wearing a black knee-length skirt, green stilettos, a blue shirt, and a black cardigan. I suppose that if you didn't notice my shoes, I might have looked a bit like an employee on their lunch break or after their shift who's purchasing their own things. I'm in the shoes section and start trying on a pair of black shoes. Don't worry, I brought socks. I'm walking up and down the aisle trying to see if they fit right, so I'm holding my stilettos and I've got a handbag over my shoulder. An old woman, OW, approaches me and asks if I can help her. I'm a nice person, so I ask her what she needs. OW, can you see if there's a size 5 at the top of that shelf? I need a 5. Me. Oh, yeah, sure. Here you go. I pull a pair down from the shelf and pass them to her. I'm not exactly tall, but she's several inches shorter than me and probably wouldn't have been able to reach. She sits down on the bench and starts taking off her shoes. She asks how my day's been, and we just generally make small talk. I'm still stamping around in these new shoes, trying to determine whether or not they'll end up giving me blisters if I buy them. OW, oh dear, these are far too big. I don't suppose there's a 4 up there. I shrug and have a look, but I can't see all the way to the back, so I slip off the black shoes and put my stilettos back on for some extra height. I can see one pair of 4s at the back of the shelf and pull them down for her, and she's frowning at me. Me. Here you go. OW, well, those shoes are hardly sensible now, are they? Me, well, not really, I suppose, but I'm not going to be out long. I start walking away and she calls out to me. OW, the disrespect of your generation. Me. What? OW, a girl your age should be in school. Note, I'm in my early 20s, but I suppose you dropped out pregnant or some such thing. Me, sounding more English. I'm sorry, what are you saying? OW, you're allowed to work here and yet you can't even wear a proper uniform without tarting it up. Me. What? I don't work here. OW, of course you do, you just helped me. Me. I don't work here, I just helped you because I'm nice. OW, you're not being very nice right now. Me. You just called me a tart. OW. I will not be spoken to like this. I want to put in a complaint against you. Get me your manager. Me. Fully Ocker. Look, mate, I don't bloody work here, all right? Old woman gives an affronted, full-body gasp as though I just confessed to a grandiose lesbian love affair with her mother. OW. How dare you speak to me in that accent? Get me your manager. Me. Still don't work here. I walked off as she was still yelling about disrespect behind me. And our next story. If a charge is not on our fee schedule, we will pay 30% of the billed amount. Really now? Not my story, but a doctor I know. They're a rheumatologist who does a lot of chemotherapy, and chemo drugs can be pricey as hell. The cost of the doctor for the drug in today's story was about $5,000. The doctor normally bills $10,000 to the patient's insurance. Now, normally insurance will pay roughly $6,000 to $7,000 on the drug, but every year medical billing codes get shuffled around and insurers, intentionally or unintentionally, are slow in updating their system. January hits and the code for this drug changes. The doctor bills a huge major insurance company the usual $10,000, but under the new code. The insurer, however, has not updated their system, their fee schedule still has the old code, and the new one is not listed in the fee schedule. The insurer's policy is, if a charge is not on our fee schedule, we will pay 30% of the billed amount, so they pay $3,000 for this drug that cost the doctor $5,000 to purchase and several hours to administer. The doctor is quite unhappy. Enough of these cases crop up in a short amount of time that he has to mortgage his house in order to pay for his patient's drugs while fighting with the insurance company for payment. Several dozens of calls and 3 in-person appeals later, the insurance company insists that for the month of January, before the drug was added to our fee schedule, we can only pay 30% of the billed amount. So the doctor goes back and rebills the original encounter and decides, F it, let's bill them $1 million for this drug, submits the claim electronically, it's accepted by their automated system, processed by their EDI system, and they pay it. After months of being jerked around, their automated system literally throws $300,000 at him for a $5,000 at-cost drug. They'll pay 30% of the billed amount. That's in the contracted agreement. Insurance companies often overpay and will often come back and ask for their money back for their own damn errors, sometimes with interest, so he and I are fully expecting them to fight this bill. But they're contracted to pay 30% of the billed amount, and the doctor said he went over the contract with the lawyer and sees no provisions for recoupment in this particular situation. If the insurer pays more than they're contracted to, they can recoup, but since the contract specifies 30% of the billed amount, with no stated limitations on sane or reasonable billed amounts, and since the insurer actually paid it, he, and more importantly his lawyer, thinks he might actually have a strong case to keep the money. Insurance companies are a very big part of the reason that medical costs are so damn high, even if you have insurance. And our last story. Give me my car back or I'll have you arrested. Back into the stories from my job. Me, generally average, chronically depressed loser. Karen, lady who was staying at the hotel. GM, general manager. PO1, police officer 1. PO2, police officer 2. So I was working the front desk with my GM in the back, and generally things weren't irregular. People came in, got checked in, etc. Life was fine until a lady walks in and storms to the front desk scowling at me. Oh boy, here we go. Where's my car? Your car? Yes, what happened to it? I don't know, ma'am. Is it damaged or something? It's gone. It's not there anymore? No, it's not. Where did you take it? I didn't do anything. I certainly didn't take your car. So after this loud exchange, the GM comes to the front, wondering what all the noise is. He asks what the problem is, and she yells at him as I let him handle the angry guest. He could already tell she was the unreasonable type of person who didn't care how things worked, so long as it was in her favor. Seeing this, I'm glad to be out of the situation. I wasn't. As it turns out, her car was towed because she hadn't placed the parking ticket we provide our guests, for free, on her dashboard so they can park at our hotel. This little rule was added because people don't care that our parking lot is not a free parking car lot where they can leave their car for an indefinite amount of time. You have to be a guest or do a park and fly with us for us to issue a parking permit for use. We hand them out to every guest and inform them every time they need to place them on their car dashboards immediately, or our security will call the towing company we contract to tow their vehicle away. No, leaving it in your pant pocket doesn't count, sir. They tow all week, but their customer center's only open weekdays, and I think it was a Saturday or a Sunday, so she was already in a bad way on that front. Her first version of events is we never told her that. The GM said that it's part of our standard check-in speech, and if she didn't listen, it's not on us. Then her next version is that she left her window open and someone must have stolen her ticket. And only the ticket. We called the towing company and have one of the few attendants mention that when the vehicle was brought in with all the windows closed, they didn't see a ticket anywhere. We asked if it was possible for them to bring the vehicle back so that we could just circumvent this whole issue and get her to stop throwing a fit at the front desk. They were closed and didn't have any drivers available to do that as it was the weekend. Then my favorite. She turns to me and ignores the GM entirely and demands that I bring her car back or she'll have me arrested for car theft. I give her the most WTF, are you serious look I can, and my GM scoffs before saying we can't help her as the blame is solely on her. She storms off and I shrug and my GM goes into the back thinking that she gave up. Well, if you read the cast of characters, then you can infer that I was wrong about that assumption. She comes a while later, flanked by 2 police officers and a smug smirk firmly on her face as she pointed at me and said, "That's him! Make him give me my car back!" They walk up to me and say, "Excuse me, we're here about a report of a car being stolen." I sigh and take a moment to pinch the bridge of my nose and give the lady a very deadpan glance before turning to the officers. "I assume Karen called you?" "Yes, she did." I roll my eyes and launch into an explanation of events and why her car has been towed, not stolen. Fortunately, the officers are very calm on the matter, and when they ask for more details on the towing company we have a contract with, they nodded in understanding. They did inquire if I called the company to return the car, and after saying we did, but they were closed, they walked back to her. I could even catch one of them mutter, "Why are we even here?" After they talked to her and her growing more and more outraged, she finally threw up her hands in frustration, stomped off to her room, and left the next day. She trashed the room, but we had her card on file, so we got the last laugh. Wow, holy crap. Some people amaze me with that kind of thinking. Nothing they won't do. Hey guys, thank you for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.